my question is for the Premier. Hydro rates have gone up 300% under the Liberals and 50% just under this Premier. People have good reason to be suspicious about any action that the Premier takes on the hydro file. And now, leaked documents, of course, show that hydro rates will be going up even further as a result of the Premier's scheme, causing even more skepticism about the Liberals' handling of our electricity system in this province. Will the Premier come clean with Ontarians on the future cost of hydro before her hydro scheme, her borrowing scheme, is voted on in this legislature?
Thank you, Premier.
Mr. Speaker, I know the Minister of Energy is going to want to comment in the supplementary, but let me just say that we have been very clear. I have been very clear. The Minister of Energy has been very clear with the people of this province that we have made investments in the electricity system in Ontario, $50 billion to make a reliable, clean, renewable electricity grid in.
Member from Hamilton East, Stony Creek is warned. Carry on.
Clear that there was a cost associated with that, Mr. Speaker, and that cost needs to be shared over the generations that are actually going to use that asset, Mr. Speaker. And so we are bringing forward a reduction of 25% on people's electricity bills to be in place by the summer, Mr. Speaker. And to do that, we are spreading the cost over a longer period of time, and that means that not just this generation today will pay for those costs, but that will be spread over a longer period of time. We've been very clear with the people of Ontario that that's what we're doing.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Speaker, the Premier's borrowing scheme will cause hydro rates to soar by over 50%. She denies this, but she hasn't shown the people of Ontario any evidence to back up that denial. Will the public get any additional information on how much the Premier proposes to increase hydro costs after the next election so they can provide educated, informed feedback at the committee hearings next week, Speaker?
Thank you. Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As stated, we're bringing forward legislation that will actually reduce everyone's bills by up to 25% on average, Mr. Speaker. It's important that people know about this so they can understand that this government is acting to ensure that we're making our system as affordable as can be, Mr. Speaker, for many of these families. 800,000 families that live in the rural and northern parts of our province, Mr. Speaker, they'll see a 40 to 50% reduction. And that's what we're doing right now, Mr. Speaker, in the short term. In the medium term, Mr. Speaker, we're ensuring that we're holding the rates to the cost of inflation. And then for the long term, Mr. Speaker, the 2017 long-term energy plan will project where costs are going to be so people can see the transparent process that we have, because we rebuilt a system, one that is coal-free, that is clean, that is reliable, and something now, Mr. Speaker,
Supplementary.
Speaker, the Premier and her Liberal government have made a mess of our hydro system, and it has cost Ontario families and businesses far too much. And they think it's funny, but it isn't funny when people have to make choices about paying their hydro bill or putting food on the table, or choices about keeping people employed or paying their businesses' electricity bill. From the gas plant scandal to the broken promises not to sell off Hydro One, to the 4 years of denying that there was any problem at all with people's rising hydro bills. Why has this Premier had so much trouble reconciling what she says with what she does?
Thank you.